I think as newer phones keep coming out every single year, it's easy to forget about older devices like the Galaxy A35 5G. So is it still worth it in 2025? Well, let's talk about it. Now this phone isn't really that old, so it still has quite a bit left as far as software updates go. It's got 4 years of major software updates, 5 years of security updates since it was first launched with Android 14, One UI 6.1. So it should be good up to Android 18, One UI 10, and it'll get security updates until 2029. So not quite as good as the newest Samsung phones and some of the Pixel phones now, but still pretty good compared to some of the competition. The software on here is going to be pretty similar to the more expensive Samsung phones. You've got the Edge panel over on the side with shortcuts, Google Now or Samsung Free left of the home screen. Now you don't get Samsung DeX on this one, but it still feels like you get quite a few features and it's going to feel very familiar if you've used other Samsung products recently. Probably one of the phone's best features is the 6.6-inch Super AMOLED display with up to 120 Hz refresh rate. It's got nice and vibrant colors, deeper blacks, really good contrast. It's just gonna feel and look more high-end than you would expect considering the price. Now, kind of personal preference, but I do prefer the fingerprint scanner like this one has compared to some of the others out there that put it on the power button. This one seems to be pretty reliable as well. It also has up to 1000 nits peak brightness, so plenty bright enough for most things, even if you're outdoors. It's also pretty durable and water resistant with an IP67 rating. The build quality on this is actually going to feel and look very similar to the more high-end Samsung phones, which wasn't always the case just a few years ago. It also has Gorilla Glass Victus Plus for scratch and drop protection. It also has a 5000 milliamp hour battery combined with an efficient Exynos 1380 processor. Depending on your usage, you can consistently get up to a day and a half to 2 days before having to charge back up. I know when I ran my typical battery drain test at 100% screen brightness, it lasted about 13 hours, which is not going to be the best out there, but still pretty good compared to some of the other phones that I've tested. This phone also has a micro SD card to expand the storage, something that the newer version doesn't have. I think even though the Exynos 1380 processor is not the most powerful out there, it's still pretty comparable to the newer Galaxy A36. It's also good enough to do some light gaming on as well. If you compare this to the cheaper Galaxy A17, this one's definitely going to beat that one in pretty much every category. And I think it's going to be powerful enough for most people, even though it's not a flagship device. I feel like the speakers on here are pretty decent, especially if you turn on Dolby Atmos. It's not going to be the loudest out there, but here's a quick sample just to give you an idea of how it compares. I also think the cameras on here are actually pretty good considering the price. It's got a 50 megapixel wide angle lens. It also has optical image stabilization, which is going to reduce blur and photos and smooths out video recording as well. I think if you compare this to some of the more expensive Samsung phones or just some of the competition at the same price, I think most people would be surprised at the quality you can get from this phone. I'm sure there's some people that wouldn't even know which Samsung phone took the photo if you didn't label it. I feel like a lot of phones are actually pretty good with cameras now. Now, obviously there's a lot of variables when it comes to camera quality, but I feel like this one still does pretty well compared to some of the newer Samsung phones. I think overall it's going to depend on what you're looking for, but in my opinion, the Galaxy A35 5G is still worth it in 2025, especially if you're considering the Galaxy A17 and you want to go a step up from that phone. This one's definitely worth checking out. If you like phones, tablets, and other tech, I've got a lot more stuff that I'm working on as usual, so keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.